Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is Monday, August 4th, around 5 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And before we look back at Fridays, let's look at potential catalysts for this week. Uh, basically, very small news week, right? We have ISM tomorrow. We have Wednesday, Lisa Cook's going to be talking about the U.S. economy. I'm sure there'll be some other Fed heads, on the week, but this is the only one that was noted on the Federal Reserve Board calendar. And then Thursday, we're going to have the Bank of England unemployment claims and consumer credit. Really a slow news week, and there's no big earners out. Berkshire Hathaway reported over the weekend. And then we're just, sitting here kind of in the doldrums of scheduled news flows, I should say that. So, with that said, let's look back at Friday's session. So, Friday, we basically very tight $5 range in the Qs, right, between basically 552 to 557. Really nothing doing there, which is a 200-point range for us day traders. You got, a little opportunity up and down as we bounce there. And then on the SPY, again, really not a lot going on from 620 to 625, $5 range, so 50 points in the ES. Uh, and then, looking at the cash market, a lot of the day was just spent, even though we had that larger range, most of the day was spent between 62.25 and 62.50. We did peak over that, right? But basically just kind of coiled up under 62.50 most of the day. And as we look at what that did structurally, nothing, right? Because it was just a balancing day, after we had a little bit of a shift down. So as we, come down, and you don't have to be much of a technician to see that this range that we were in before we kind of broke out higher, that goes from July 3rd through July 16th, right? We just basically come right back down to the bottom of that area. So that is the balance low for that, consolidate that 2 week consolidation area. So we just basically checked it out. So now we'll see what we can get to the upside. So points of control that haven't been tested. 63.36, 63.74 half, and then the one from Friday, right? 62.65 basically is where it is. So that'd be about 35 points down below. So that would be real close to the settlement, right? Because we're 36 points up right now. Uh, Look, and here's a better way to see it, right? These lines have been on this thing for quite a while. Uh, but you've got basically I drew it the balance low as uh, right at 22,780, right? We got down to 775, so you got about 5 points under that balance low for the Nasdaq last Friday, and then really. One of the keys for me will be do we stay above or below or just kind of get washed around? This 23,060, right? That was the top of the previous bonds range before we broke out. And, getting back up above there, uh, you know, there's shorts that are trapped in here that never liquidated right as we went up. And now there's some longs, staggered through this rise up. So you can see that basically if you were looking at single prints or fair value gaps, if you will, on the dailies, right? And this is a session you could go back and look at it just for the bell to bell, but on the session, right, all the way up to 23,290 half, right? That is the fair value gap uh, that we're trying to not leave on the charts, basically, right? So if we can get up into there, I would think that that's going to be around the top end of resistance for the week. So, until proven otherwise, right? You start getting traction above Friday's high, that's another thing in itself. But until then, you should suspect that the closer you get up to this low from Thursday's candle, that's going to be resistance. And very similar for the ES, right? The bounce low I had marked off, and you know, it's just eyeballs, so wherever your eyeballs, but I had it marked off at 62.46 quarter. We got down to 39.50, so about 7 points under that is where we hit. And then we've come up, and you can see in the overnight, right? The overnight low is right at 51 quarter, so it's above those levels. And it's the same thing. We'll have to see first if we can get above 63.23, and then again the low from Thursday is sitting there at 63.57 half. So that's your fair value gap that is the in play right now, that we're trying to not leave on the charts, if you will. Uh, and then if you look at where we're at, right, we're uh, in Friday's range, right? The Russell tested above it, the Dow tested above it, and the ES and the Dow both got close to it. They sniffed it, right? But they just couldn't get over it. So we're, obviously at the high from the since we've opened on the overnight range. We'll see what the VIX does. Remember, there's not a lot of catalysts that are scheduled, so to be honest with you, I don't know. If the VIX is going to be much. The VIX is not going to be in play for anything that's scheduled, right? It's going to be unscheduled news events that smack the VIX around. If anything, there's nothing fear-wise that's going to come out in any of the prints that we're going to see this week, or any of the earnings reports. Uh, so as we kind of look at positioning and where we're at now, you've got basically for the day, and we'll probably not see either of these extremes. You got 550 on the bottom, 565 on the top, right? That's a 15-point range. Uh, that's I just don't see, or $15 range, I should say. I don't see that would be around 600 points on the NQ. I just don't see that range playing out today. We'll see if 560 is going to have, some gamma up it, and so is 562. But really, what I think is more likely, we kind of just chop back around where we are. So I'm looking at different zones like 557 half down to 555, and then 555 is kind of like a little pivot, and then you could get down to 552 to 552 half, right in there. Uh, so that would be uh, the $5 range. I think that is a lot going on, and you can just look left at the chart, right, holding above where we're at now. Just kind of anyone who thought we were just going to go to hell in a handbasket and just go right through that balance low, um, they're stuck holding their crotch right now, right? So we'll see how long they pin them up here, uh, right? And if they allow them to get paid or not. Otherwise, these zones that I have as chop, right? They're going to line up with where support is, because you've got people that were short and wrong at this point in time. It doesn't mean they're not going to be wrong later, but will they be able to hold on to those shorts? Right. They're being punished today for leaving the weekend and their shorts and thinking that they were geniuses, right? The genius trade is to screw the crowd, and right now those bears are getting shut out. So we'll see. Really interesting to see what the retracement back down would be, and you can see that we're in what I call a Superman up. Right now, we're holding between the +1 and the +2 standard deviation on the VWAPs on the NQ. And while the ES is kind of topped out, it looks like, and it's hit resistance for sure. So we'll see what we get, but keep in mind on these larger gamma areas that as we get up this, and this will be the first test, it's probably right around 23,128 to 130, somewhere in there. That would be where this 560 is, and it'll be interesting to see if we can, if that's just kind of a lid and we start uh, just rolling back over and retracing the overnight move that we had so far, right? So kind of like the slow grind up, and we'll see what we get. But if the bulls are really going to trap the bears, we're not going to get any long-term progress into the value area, right? You always have to assume uh, that these value areas, when we gap up like this, at some point later in the day, right, they can trade. You can get your 80% roll, but you've got to clear through value area high first, and we'll have to see how much of a demand there is uh, for holding that bear trap up, right? So for the SPY, it's a little bit different story. We've got a zone that's basically from 625 up to 628, and then you've got a zone that's basically from 633 down to 630. Right now we're in the overnight session after we cleared above 625. That's acting as minimal support right now. So we'll see if we get down, but I would think that right around 623, which would be, right around um, 22, 23 points lower than we are right now for the ES. So that's going to put you, right around 62.77 or so, 62.76, right around in there. That would be your first bid support. That would just kind of flush out a lot of the Johnny come latelys in the overnight session, and then we'll see what happens after that. Getting above, and I would think on a first test, getting there 628, right? That's going to be resistance. You can see that's really where we sold from in the overnight session, coming into the bell on Friday as well. There'll probably still be some muscle memory there. So we'll see. I think it'll be maybe slightly volatile, but I still expect it to be kind of a balancing day, right? We need to see if these prices are accepted or rejected, and then just kind of watch these levels and, don't shoot. I would, and unless the Superman upholds in the Nasdaq, I would think that the very first test of the VWAP should be a buy with limited risk if we get down to there, and then you'll have to see if you can get back above the +1. If you get back above the +1 after hitting the VWAP, we could just kind of drift slowly up all day because, again, there's no catalyst to make the VIX go down, in my opinion, or to go up. I'm sorry. There's should be no fear this week to make the VIX do anything. So what should put a small bid under the market. I hope this helps you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll see what